Hare Krishna. Welcome to Vedsarthi. We are reading Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. And currently we are reading chapter 1. In this specific video, we'll talk about chapter 1, verse 37 and 38. These set of verses are a part of sub-theme, fear of sinful reactions. This is one of the reasons which Arjuna presents to Krishna for not fighting the war. We have already covered verse 36 of this sub-theme in the previous video. And in this video, we'll cover verse 37 and 38. The verse goes like this. Bhagavad Gita 1.37-38. Yadyapyete na pashyanti lobha upahat chetasaha kulakshaya kritam dosham mitra drohe chapatakam katham nageyam asmabhihi papadasmanivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyat virjanardana. Yadi, if, api, even, ete, they, na, do not, pashyanti, see, lobh, by greed, upahata, overpowered, chetasaha, their hearts, kulakshaya, in killing the family, kritam, done, dosham, fault, mitra drohe, in quarreling with friends, cha, also, patakam, sinful reactions, katham, why, na, should not, gyayam, be known, asmabhihi, by us, papat, from sins, asmat, these, nivartitum, to cease, kulakshaya, in the destruction of a dynasty, kritam, done, dosham, crime, prapashyatpihi, by those who can see, Janardana, O Krishna. Translation: O Janardhan, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? Now we'll try to understand this verse from Dua perspective. That is, discover, understand, and apply. So our first discovery in this set of verses is that Duryodhan and party were eager to kill their friends and relatives because they were overcome by greed. Okay, so let us try to understand this. Lobha upahata chetasaha. This indicates that Duryodhan and party, because of their greediness, they had lost their intelligence and they had become blind. They could not differentiate whether the action that they were planning is going to elevate them or degrade them. They were not understanding the consequences of the actions. The only thing that they were concerned about is acquiring the great empire. Next, kulakshaya kritam dosham. So this is a great sin. Destroying dynasty, destroying one's family is a great sin. Due to greediness, Duryodhan and party did not care about this. And if we see the scenario nowadays, people are destroying from the womb, abortion, contraception. So this is also kulakshaya. There are actually very subtle laws which people at large don't understand nowadays. And they are engaged in such sinful acts. And then they have to face the consequences. Mitra drohe chapatakam. Mitra droho means quarreling with friends. So again, due to greed, Duryodhan and party, they thought that there is no fault in quarreling with friends because what they were concerned about is to acquire the kingdom. In Shri Ishopanishad, the first mantra says that Ishvasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha ma gridaha kasya swidhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Now, application is that we should be satisfied with what God has planned for us and must not usurp others' possessions out of greed. Otherwise, one has to face the consequences just like what Kauravas faced. Another application is that this human life is meant for self-realization. We must utilize this life for self-realization, and we must not waste this life to fulfill our lust and greed. We must engage ourselves in spiritual activities, because if we fall prey to lust, greed, and similar kind of vices, then our downfall is inevitable. The next discovery is Arjuna is considering the consequences from all angles before proceeding to act. So this is basically fear of sinful reactions, the third reason due to which Arjuna didn't want to fight. Let us revise the other two reasons. See, we completed Bhagavad Gita 1.28 to 1.30, where we discussed the first reason of Arjuna, compassion for relatives and friends. And then 1.31 to 1.35, foreseeing no enjoyment and victory. And now we are reading 1.36 to 1.38, fear of sinful reactions. Okay? Now moving back to the slide. Katham na geyam asmabhihi. So here Arjuna is including Krishna also. That see Krishna, at least we understand that it is sinful to kill one's family. So we should not commit such sinful activity. Okay. Now next, Arjun was a saintly person, a devotee. So he was considering all aspects. Is it going to elevate me or is it going to degrade me? Now Arjun understands here that the opposite party had lost their intelligence. But we cannot. We must act in a way which is in accordance with dharma, righteousness. So Arjun is acting in a very responsible manner here. Application: we must evaluate before we act and see if the action that we are getting engaged into, whether it is going to elevate us or it is going to degrade us. Because human life is a life of responsibility. Whatever actions we do, we have to face the consequences. So we must evaluate very well before taking any action. Actually, being devotees of Lord Krishna, it is a greater responsibility for us to act in the right manner, because then only people will be attracted towards Krishna consciousness. Now, further to this specific discovery, we must understand that a Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse to battle or gamble when he is invited by the other party. The reference here is from Mahabharata. Ahuto na nivartena dyutyadapi ranadapi. So Kshatriya is basically under obligation that he cannot refuse. So here Arjun actually could not refuse to fight because he had been challenged by Duryodhana. But here Arjun is considering that the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. And because Arjun could see the evil consequences, so he could not accept the challenge. So conclusion here is that obligation is actually binding when the effect is good. But when the effect is not good, then no one can be bound. Then actually one can take a decision to refuse. He is not obliged to actually, accept it. So that means considering the evil consequences, Arjun decided not to accept the challenge. How do we apply this? We should not accept any actions which can lead to our downfall, no matter how big the obligation may be. So we may also come across such situation where we may have to oblige and get engaged in some actions. But we must always evaluate But if it is evil, then we should not indulge. Now, next discovery here is Arjun calls Krishna by the name Janardhan, the maintainer of all living entities. So, Sri Baldev Vidyabhushan, one of our acharyas, he described this friendly exchange between Krishna and Arjun like this. Just by calling the name Janardhan, Arjun is conveying this message to Krishna. Oh Janardhan, if you think these sons of Dhritarashtra should be killed, then you should kill them because you have descended to remove the burden of the earth. Therefore, you alone should kill them. You are the Supreme Lord and you will incur no sinful reaction. Why you are engaging me into this sin? Application: the only protection from the miseries of this material existence are the lotus feet of Janardhan or Krishna. We must be surrendered to Janardhan and we must serve Janardhan under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And as we move ahead in Bhagavad Gita, we see later on in chapter 2 how Arjun surrenders to Krishna and Krishna gave him the knowledge which cleared all confusion from Arjun's mind. So similarly, we must surrender to a bona fide spiritual master who is a pure devotee of Krishna and seek his guidance to lead our life. In the next video, we'll take up the sub-theme, which is the fourth reason that Arjun presents to Krishna for not fighting the war, and that is destruction of family traditions. Verses 39 to 43. We have mentioned this in this table also. That's all on this verse. We dedicate this channel and all these videos to our Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Thakur, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.